and boxing. I'm your host, Rated Live. What's happening out there, internet peoples? Good to be back with another week of boxing analysis with our panel of experts. Our first expert is going to be crying later on as the Clippers beat the Lakers by at least 4, because that's what I bet on. He's the only one, the only Filthy Rich. Filthy Rich, what's up?
South Park season 25 is underway, and so are the opening ceremonies for the Winter Olympics. USA.
Right on. Right. 25 years of South Park? Crazy.
Pajama Day.
It's unbelievable. All right. With us is also a fan of South Park and a fan of the Clippers tonight is the one, the only, the Judge. Jimmy James Judge, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, if Clippers win, that's great. I say go Timberwolves right now. They seem to be doing actually pretty decent, which is kind of crazy. So eventually I'll be able to rub that in your face, Rich. In your face. Maybe. Sometimes. Probably. I did probably just jinx them with that comment. Way to go. Thanks. Sorry, guys.
We'll talk about Minnesota teams that are doing well. Also, the Wild have won 10 in a row. That is or 10 game point streak. And the Vikings continue to be the Vikings and decided not to hire Jim Harbaugh because he's Jim Harbaugh and we don't want to win Super Bowls. So with us to analyze all of that is the one, the only Matt Seabach. Matt Seabach, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Okay, good talk. What do you got? What do you got, buddy? What do you got?
I was gonna say I'm not as clever as the panel here.
We know.
I got nothing to say.
yeah, naturally. All right, boys. It is the first of the month. It's the first of the month, which means we got to do a Filthy 5. And looking back to last year, our Filthy 5 of February was the heavyweight division. So that's a fun one to hit into, and that's what we're going to do again this year in February is the heavyweight division. We also got plenty of news and plenty of previews for fights coming up this weekend. It's going to be a long show, so buckle in, everybody. Grab your beers. You can drink right along with us. If I can find mine here. Oh, it's down here. There we go. Got my bottle opener. Got more of that Schaffhofer. Go! Jeez, who had me as the first swear word?
Why don't you drink a man's beer and crack a bush latte?
Oh my God.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers, fellas.
All right, let's move on with the show. Where's the news? Time to hit the old news, boys. A few bits of news before we get into our Filthy 5 for heavyweights. We're going to start right off with Arthur Bretobia and Matt Lindstrom are apparently in the works for summer unification fight in New York. Yeah, if you ask Matt from Lindstrom where New York is, he just knows it's somewhere by the green states, he says on his map, on his little map. But that's on the East Coast. What do you guys think of this fight? Bretobia versus Joe Smith Jr. in the works for a unification fight. Filthy Rich, start with you.
Well, it looks like, according to this story, that the winner is probably going to get Canelo. Joe Smith is who Bretobia supposed to be fighting. So, and it looks like Joe Smith is, there's a money issue right now. It doesn't look to be something serious. It looks like it's going to be at the Garden, apparently, in the spring. My guess would be April, I think is what the story says. This is a fight that should happen. I hope it does happen. I hope a few bucks don't get in the way of this. I don't care if the winner fights Canelo or not, but Bretobia needs some competition. And this guy, if it's not Bivol, this guy, Joe Smith Jr., is next in line. This fight needs to happen.
Sure does need to happen. Judge, what do you think? You have things to add to that analysis here?
I mean, it is in the works. It is the money dispute at the moment, but it's like $300,000. As far as I'm concerned, just fork it over, man. Fork it over and let's just get it done. All right. I mean, this is Bob Arum. Enough white people in this one, so he should have no problem forking over $300,000. Yep. But yeah, man, I think this would be a good fight. I mean, this is just you want to talk about styles make fights. This might not be the best technical fight out there at all, but if you're gonna want nonstop action and almost probably as close to a guaranteed knockout as you could probably get to, one of those boys is going to fall. There's just no way, even though they both have granite chins. So yeah, I think this is going to be awesome if it does happen.
All right, Matt from Lindstrom, I won't ask you anything about numbers, but if this fight happens here, does the winner get Canelo, you think? Or it's hard to predict who Canelo's going to fight. He chooses who he wants to fight wherever he wants to fight, but that seems to be the underlying reason why these two are fighting. What do you think?
Well, aside from the who gets Canelo, this fight, like James said, no technicality whatsoever in this fight. It's going to be balls to the wall, forehead to forehead type fight. And who's got the tougher chin wins this fight. And I know that one man has a stronger chin. I'm not going to say who, but everyone knows who it is.
Beterbiev.
No. He's
Let
been
me jump
down
in.
All right, you jump in because
Look,
he seems to be
Beterbiev
called.
tends to bleed too much. So I hope that when these two go at it, that it doesn't get stopped because blood
Yeah.
loss or something. So that would
actually,
be the only
that's-
thing. Yeah, that'd be the
that's
only
true.
thing that I'm worried about.
That's the only thing that could stop Beterbiev in this fight is a
But
bad cut to my
technicality
head,
is out the window. Out the window.
out the window.
I'm gonna throw you out the window.
It's going to be a brutal fight.
It will be. It'll be a fun one in New York. It's kind of surprising they're going to New York and not in Russia. It seems like Beterbiev only fights in Russia, but
The money's in America.
well, we'll see about that. All right, next bit of news is Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson are going to go head to head with the super fight, the super ladies fight of Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Now we've talked about it on here before. We need a big super fight women's to kind of jumpstart everything, but the problem is now they're putting Shakur Stevenson on the same night. How bad is that going to affect the numbers for Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano? We'll start with you, Judge.
I think this is terrible. Taylor Serrano was already booked, and then we'll see it this way. Then Valdez and Shakur Stevenson got booked on the same night. Bob Arum is coming out saying that it's ESPN's fault. I highly doubt that. If with the influence that you have, you could literally make it a different night. It shouldn't be difficult, especially to do that. But with that being said, he's also stated that he doesn't really care for women's boxing. Pretty much like nobody really cares for women's boxing. And I think that is just crazy. And I feel so bad for Michaela Mayer because that's the only woman he has in his stable. Michaela, you got to get out and get away from Bob Arum. I'm actually going to agree with Jake Paul.
What?
Because he is literally defending women's boxing against Bob Arum, calling this. I almost bleep myself, calling him a dinosaur promoter. Man, this is the one thing that Jake Paul is actually doing is being a positive for women's boxing 100%. And I think this is a super poor decision. Even Shakur Stevenson came out and said that he wants to watch this fight and doesn't think that this should be on the same night. So I don't know, man. Bob Arum, you need to go, bro. You need to go.
Well, I'm pretty sure once he goes, I'll have his head in a jar like in Futurama, and he'll still be around for an extra 200 years booking fights. But Filthy Rich, what do you think of this travesty, and how are we going to watch both of them at the same time?
Well, there's been other fights. I feel like it's mainly UFC, but maybe my memory serves me incorrect. But Shakur Stevenson has just said that he hopes that they stagger these fights so the fans will be able to watch both fights with no interruptions. So let's hope something like that happens. I think I brought up Canelo and Sergey Kovalev when they fought. They went up head-to-head versus UFC, and that fight was staggered. We talked not too long ago Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury when Alabama football was playing. That got staggered till the game was over. So all we can do at this point is hope that these promoters can just go in cahoots and say, figure something out. They got to figure something out. We don't know when the next, I mean, boxing is pretty big. Week after week, there's going to be big fights, and I hope we're able to catch both of them in their entireties. So
well, I think the promoters are missing out on a very big money-making opportunity. If Taylor Serrano becomes big and actually opens up a new venue of women's boxing on mainstream, that's going to be more gold mine for them to do and more fights for them to make. I don't understand why this 1950s like thinking here. So Seabog, what do you think?
Well, it's a travesty in the fact that if you could stagger and have them the same night and be able to watch them all, it creates more boxing fans. Let people see everything that goes on. And you guys alluded to the fact that Arum might be slightly racist, possibly.
Slightly.
And now I'm starting to think a chauvinist, because he thinks that the men are better than the women, and that fight is amazing. And trust me, I want to watch both fights. So I really do hope that, and I'm glad that Shakur actually stepped up and said, hey, I'd like this to be staggered, because he wants to promote the sport. He's saying, hey, I want everyone to watch all the fights that night. Good on him. Really good on him. And Bob Arum, James has said it in countless shows, he needs to go.
Yeah, he ain't gonna go anywhere though. He's got a lot of money, and when you got that much money, you survive an extra 300 years past what you're supposed to be surviving. So, sadly, maybe Bob Arum's setting this up to run for president. He kind of has that same crotchety attitude. But
I mention something quickly before we move on. I know Matt mentioned something about being chauvinist. When Fury and Wilder had their press conference it was, I don't know if it probably wasn't PBC, but it was a joint promotion. And what's our girlfriend's name from the PBC, the Guyanese girl that I told you guys keep your eyes off of? Bob Arum went on a rant.
Kate Abdo?
Kate Abdo. He went on a rant about that woman did something, and a lot of people went to Kate Abdo's defense. Bob Arum was out of line. So I'm not going to call anyone racist or anything, but chauvinist, there's probably some dots to be connected with that one. I'll drink to me.
And
there's also dots to be connected on the racist side.
Hey, Richie, and guess what? I used a big word.
I'm proud of
All
you.
right. All right, moving on. Those two fights are at the end of April. Earlier in April, we have a mega fight coming up: Errol Spence versus your guy Richie Ugas at AT&T Stadium in early April. What do you guys think of Spence finally getting back in the ring and fighting Ugas? Rich, we'll start with you.
Look, Errol Spence is from the Dallas area, so this is probably a good venue for him. We saw him there not too long ago. I can't remember who he fought, but this fight with Ugas should be a good fight. I'm excited for it. Wouldn't count anyone out. I don't think there's a foregone conclusion that Spence wins or that Ugas wins. I'd like to see what the undercard is and how they try to sell Jerry's World out, because that's a big stadium. You better have a solid undercard with some local fighters. So, it's underway. Should be a good fight. Very, very good fight. Fight of the year candidacy written all over it.
Well, let's not talk about Jerry's World again, because that always makes some giant arguments between people around here. But they're selling out Jerry's World. Talking about Spence fighting Ugas and not your guy instead.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I want Spence and Crawford, right? This is the fight. This is his get back to action fight, because Spence hasn't fought since he fought Garcia in 2020. Ugas just came off a very impressive win against Manny Pacquiao. Give it what you say, even it was his last fight, his last hurrah. That's not an easy task to beat Packy. So yeah, man, I think this is still going to be interesting. I think it's going to be very difficult for Spence. And I'm looking forward to the fight for sure.
Ugas with a very convincing fight over Pacquiao. Seaback, what do you see in this fight? Do you think Spence can carry on his legacy as one of the best at that division, or is Ugas going to take that Pacquiao win and keep the momentum going towards the top?
Ugas is he's a tough style for any fighter. I've listened to some interviews with sparring partners with Errol Spence, and of course, a sparring partner is always going to tell you the best thing about the guy that he has been sparring with, because he's getting paid from him. And from what I have heard, is his eye is 100% healed, and his speed and his power is better than it's ever been. Even when he was younger, this is a sparring partner from the age of 16 years old. He's been with him. You don't get faster as you get older. It's not possible. It just doesn't happen like that.
Yeah, it does.
Except for me.
But I'm just saying. So you know what? I think he's just trying to tout him up, get him going, and say, yeah, he's good. He's ready to go. He can do anything. He's got a tough challenge with Ugas. Ugas is from that Cuban national, champion. Like, the Cuban style of boxing is hard to deal with on any man. And I don't know, Errol Spence, we'll see. Time will tell. I want to see it. He couldn't deal with Pacquiao because he had to get out. Ugas dominated Pacquiao, but that was a 75-year-old Manny Pacquiao. It's like, I love the fight, and I actually think Ugas could probably upset that.
Well, Filthy Rich, you've been a fan and very critical of Ugas many times in the past, saying that he doesn't finish fights the way he should and stuff like that. Which Ugas do you think we get for this fight? The one that can finish, the one we got against Pacquiao, or the one that we got for the 2 fights before that?
Well, I missed the question, but I am a fan of every fight. There's not one guy I particularly like more than the other. When it comes to finishing fights, it was like Sean Porter, and part of this is on judging. Like you say, anyone has to realize it, but Ugas is going to get the short end of the stick because he's a foreign fighter if you're going to fight in the United States against an American fighter. So that's one strike against you already. So you got to go, unfortunately, you got to go out there and dominate rounds. On close rounds, they're not going to give it to you. And That's all I meant by finishing rounds convincingly. I hope that kind of answers the question.
Well, my question was mainly, you've been critical of Ugas for not finishing fights in the past before the Pacquiao fights. Like you said, he should be knocking some of these guys out, and he's not. He's taking too many rounds off.
Well, yeah. Well, look at the Abel Ramos fight was after the Sean Porter loss, which I thought he beat Sean Porter, and he clearly dominated Abel Ramos. Yet a judge had it like 9-3 for Abel Ramos. So this is why you got to go out there and pound your opponent, try to knock him out. And I don't know if the Cuban style really teaches that. They're more of a stylistic win on points kind of deal. But this ain't the Olympics. This ain't the amateurs. You got to impress the judges because the judges want the crowd to cheer for them. And unfortunately, the crowd usually boos judges when they make such poor decisions like that.
Well, no crowd ever boos our judge. But Seabach, real quick, what do you want when you have your hand raised there?
I was going to agree with Richie. It's the Cuban style of boxing. Boxing purists know when a man is winning a fight. Judges, for some reason, do not like the style of a Cuban boxer and do not understand how to score it. And he is 100% right. He has been on the short end many times. And you know what? Many Cuban boxers have over the years, and you can look in the history books. How many times you can watch a fight and watch a man win, but actually lose.
All right, let's get on to our last bit of news here before we hit into our Filthy5 Heavyweights. Our last bit of news is about heavyweights. Anthony Joshua, who refused to step aside, says he'll beat Usyk without a trainer. Well, he couldn't beat him with a trainer, but now he says he can beat him without a trainer. How ridiculous is this, Judge? We'll start with you.
I don't know. Well, something's wrong with that man. All right, I don't know what's happening. Maybe you should have taken that step aside money and then did the Ryan Garcia route and maybe got your head straight. But there's no way you're beating Usyk without a trainer. If you don't train to beat Usyk, you ain't beating Usyk. So I don't know. That's a interesting comment by Joshua.
Yeah, it's an interesting comment. In fact, that he's coming off a loss to Usyk. It's not like he's talking smack about someone he hasn't fought yet. Filthy Rich, how ridiculous is it in your mind?
Well, it's not too crazy. I mean, yeah, he may be able to beat Usyk without a trainer. And now, if Usyk doesn't have a trainer, why can't he beat him if he has Usyk's trainer? So, unless I'm missing something here, if Anthony Joshua wants to fight Usyk without a trainer, yeah, he could probably beat him. The only thing is, he would need Papachenko to be training him. That's still not clear. The only way Joshua beats Usyk is if Joshua has Papachenko as his trainer and Usyk does not have a trainer. That is the only way. But sometimes people just talk. I mean, this is I don't want to call it an arrogant sport, but you have to believe in yourself. And that's all he's trying to do here. It was just talk. This is something that Eddie Hearn said as he was talking to Joshua. So take it for what it's worth. I believe you have to have a trainer going into a fight. I think it's probably required. You need a cut. Maybe you don't need a cut man, but you need to have someone in your corner. But the way the story is really presented, Joshua thinks he can beat Usyk without a trainer. Joshua, you ain't beating Usyk without a trainer. You can probably beat some other dudes. You ain't beating Usyk.
Didn't Mike Tyson not have his trainer there when he lost to Buster Douglas? Like he had a bunch of amateur people in his corner or something like that. Isn't that what
Don't
it
you
was?
dare! Don't you dare bring that Japanese fight
And
up.
and he also had bags of condoms with ice in it for his.
Yeah. No, it was just cold
Yeah.
water, is what it was. It was just
No,
cold water.
they were condoms.
But he
Yeah, I know,
won
but
that
it was
fight.
filled
Let's
with
not,
cold
Look
water.
that up.
he won that fight. Let's not go there. 7th round.
I just
Look
went
it
there.
up.
T-Bach, what do you think about does Joshua need a trainer to even run with Usyk?
Absolutely, he does. It's just him talking, creating a little swirl. The only way that he could, if the late Emmanuel Stewart came out the grave and trained him, but that ain't gonna happen. He needs a trainer of high renown, and you know what? I don't even think it's gonna help because that's the crazy Ukrainian. You're done.
He needs Apollo Creed to come out and give him the eye of the tiger. That's what he needs. He needs to refine it, baby. That's all it is. All right, that's the news for this week. We got to hit our filthy 5 here, which is going to be a long one. It's the heavyweights. All 4 of us are in there. So let's go ahead and get ready for that, boys. It's the first of the month. That means it's filthy 5 time. Heavyweights. If this is your first time joining us, where have you been? We've been doing this for 2 years, but this is how it works. Each of these fine gentlemen and Seabach gave me a list of 1 through 10 of their ranked heavyweight boxers. And their first place guy got 10 points. Their second place guy got 9 points, and so on down to 1. Then we took all 4 of our lists, added up all the points, and that became our consensus list. We'll go 5 through 3, and then we'll do some honorable mentions, and then our 2 and 1 for the heavyweight division. Currently, the current heavyweight division. You boys ready?
Let's do it.
Yes,
T-Bach, you ready?
always.
Okay. All right, number 5 with 20 points. Deontay Wilder with a big drop from last year. Deontay Wilder drops down to number 5 with 20 points. I had him at 6. James, you also had him at 6. Richie had him at 4, the highest. Bach had him down at 8. Finally, Bach is the one ruining the list, not me. We'll start with Richie. You had him all the way up at 4. Explain why Deontay Wilder is all the way up at 4 on your list.
So I think this heavyweight division is very, very deep. I mean, we could have even went 12 deep on this, but there are the top 3, and then it kind of drops off to best of the rest. Obviously, I had him at 4. Therefore, he is the best of the rest. You put him in the ring with any of the guys underneath him, I think he beats them all. His only defeats are to Tyson Fury. That is it. He has knocked every single person out. He doesn't win very many rounds, but he'll knock you out if you give him 12 rounds. Berman Stavern is the only one to go 12 rounds. He knocked Berman Stavern out in like 2 or 3 rounds on the rematch. So nobody's beating this guy except for Tyson Fury. I don't think he beats the 3 I have ahead of him. That's why I have Deontay Wilder number 4.
All right, Seabach, you had him the lowest at 8. You had him the biggest drop among all of us here. I believe me and James had him dropping 3 spots. You had him dropping 5 spots all the way down to 8. Explain why he's down that far for you now.
Because he's more or less retired, and he's more or less said that. He's made the money that he needed for his daughter. He really doesn't care anymore. He doesn't love boxing anymore. He's not like, why should we rank him high when he's not going to fight? And the list I look at, I think they're even fights, and he probably loses a lot of them. That's why I have ranked him down low.
Well, I kind of thought something similar. I felt like that Tyson Fury being the only one that beat him also all gave everybody the game plan of how to beat him, the blueprint of how to beat him.
Hey, first
And
off,
I
he's
think,
lucky. He's lucky. He made the top 10.
There you go. James, you had him at 6. That's where I had him as well. Tell these guys why he should be 6.
I mean, if he's retired, if he's saying that, I mean, he obviously acts like he is, but he hasn't officially come out and said anything. So he's still on my list. If he was retired, he wouldn't be on the list. But he does have power, right? And I think, unfortunately, that's all he has. And I don't think he beats the 5 people I have ahead of him. I don't think you can go off. I mean, you can attempt to duplicate what Fury did, but I think that's kind of all one-off because nobody's 6'9" and 270 pounds in this division. So, I just he's there because if he fights, he's probably still a top 10, probably right in the middle. But he just doesn't beat anybody that I have above, and I think he's just Yeah, I think his heart's not in it. I think I agree with Seabach.
Well, I'm not gonna break any news here right now, but I do want to come back to what you just said. He beats everybody above him on your list, or he loses to everyone above him on your list, because there's one on your list that I just want to ask you about. But I may agree with you. I just want to hear your reasoning and thought behind it. All right, number 4 with 26 points was Dillian White. Dillian White moving, pretty much staying basically where he's been, that 3-4 range the entire time we've done this show. Doesn't seem to go farther up. Doesn't seem to go further down. I had him at 4, right on the nose. James, you had him at 5. Richie, you had him at 5. Bach agreed with me, had him at 4, right on the nose. So Bach, we'll start with you since you agree with me. Why Dillian White 4?
The most educated left hook in the game.
I knew that. That's why I said it to you.
It's educated and it finds its target. They call him the body snatcher for a reason. And guess what? He's going to snatch that body, then he's going to snatch that head. Boom, done.
You're done already? Well, I'm not going to.
Yep.
On the handwritten note that Seabach sent his list to me on, it says at number 4, White, and he had to respell it because he spelled it wrong. And then he put in parentheses, left. So,
yeah, but I ran out of room on the paper for left hook.
He didn't write any parentheses for anybody else. He just put parentheses left after misspelling White. But he didn't misspell it in the way you thought. He didn't put an I where the Y was. He didn't put the H in. So I don't know what he was trying to do with that. But
I might have had a couple bush lattes.
All right. James and Rich, you both had him at 5. We'll go with Rich first. About what do you want to say about Dillian White at 5? Yeah, you got him going down a little bit, I guess. Both of you guys had him going down a little bit from last year. So
look, he ended up beating Povetkin, fine, but he did lose to Povetkin because Povetkin had James nailed that fight. It was a 4th round knockout. He gets in the ring with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder beats him in probably, I wouldn't say the 4th round, but like Deontay Wilder is one of the hardest punchers in heavyweight history. I mean, he might lose a bunch of rounds, but at some point Wilder catches him. Put your hand down. I'm drinking.
Put your hand down. We'll get to you when we get to you. James, I'm going to you instead of the guy screaming his hand over there because you deserve to talk about it. Dillian White went down a little bit on yours too. Was it because of that Povetkin fight?
No, Matt, you had your time to talk. You're quiet now. No, I mean, I look, Povetkin, a lot of people say that, oh man, how can you lose to Povetkin? Povetkin was a top 10 fighter. He was always a high level fighter. That was a beautiful shot. Like the fact that he lost to Povetkin is not a knock against him. It was just, that could happen to anyone. But I mean, at this point, I think he, for me, still loses to the 4 people at top of him. I still think he's got skills and the ability and the drive to do damage. But I just need to see it. That's all for me. I mean, that's it. I mean, he's already beaten some good players in the game already, and I think he's got a very good chance to beat some of the top guys for sure.
Well, he might be fighting Tyson Fury here soon, so we'll find out if he's got the stones to beat him. Seabach, you had your hand raised all the way to the ceiling down there. What do you have to add?
I did, and I'm glad James said that. Povetkin, yeah, very skilled man, decorated amateur, decorated boxer. Dillian White has been known to get lazy in fights in the later rounds, and he got caught with an uppercut that he didn't even see coming. That never happened again, and it will never happen again. He won't get lazy anymore. But thank you, James, for saying Povetkin's no slouch. And Deontay Wilder does not have an uppercut, first off. That's right, James.
He doesn't have a jab either.
No, he doesn't have anything except a right hook. I mean, what do you? Okay, good talk. All right, at number 3, that was at 26 points, by the way, for Dillian White. I don't know if I said that, but at number 3 with 33 points, so quite the jump from Dillian White, is Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua comes in at 33 points. I had him at 3. James had him at 3. Richie had him at 2. Bach had him at 3. Richie, you had him all the way up at 2, ahead of the 2 main guys, which is a little surprising here. So we'll let you talk about why Anthony Joshua is still in your top 2, even without a trainer.
Look, he lost to Ruiz that once and ended up beating him. He lost to Usyk. There's no shame in losing to Usyk. right now, he has the best resume, top to bottom, out of every heavyweight active right now. I think he beats Tyson Fury, and I think he beats everyone down the line. That's why I have him at number 2. That's kind of a giveaway at who I think is number 1, but he hasn't really. He lost like a couple really good dudes. That's all I got. There should be no knock on him. I think he, for the longest time, was my number 1 heavyweight for the last like couple years. I don't think there's this big drop. Look at the Lomachenko. Lomachenko loses one time, and everyone dropped him way to the bottom of the list. I moved him down 1 spot. That's what I'm happening. That's what's happening with Joshua right now.
Well, I think the main thing with Joshua is he doesn't have a trainer. He can't get these fights. He needed to step aside for one fight. It just seemed like he needed to reevaluate. But it's not like we dropped him far. We dropped him down to 3. I mean, we still all of us had him at 3, which is not that big a drop. James, you want to explain our 3rd ranking better than I can?
I'll give you my opinion on it.
Fine.
I mean, yeah, he does have 2 losses, right? And he came in and he lost to Ruiz. He didn't take the fight seriously, right? Then he came in and he lost to Usyk. I don't know what happened there. But I've stated this a couple shows ago, and I think that Joshua goes in with one strategy, and if that strategy starts to fail, he can't adapt, and then he loses. So if Usyk has the ability to adapt in the next fight and not do the exact same, I mean, damn near to a T, the exact same thing that he did, I don't think Joshua has a chance. And this is why I have Joshua down where he is, because that's not sustainable. Like you've seen it with Wilder. Wilder was the big guy that could just knock you out with no problem. I don't see too much difference between these guys in all reality. So this is just why I got him at 3.
Yeah, he is one of the worst game day planners there is. I mean, he cannot adjust to anything. So if he doesn't have a trainer, it's going to be even worse. And the fact that Usyk had Papachenko in his corner, that makes it a lot better. That's probably why Usyk destroyed him. Seabach, what do you think about Joshua at 3?
Well, I had my hand up. James
I know you did.
James killed it, and I'm going to drink to James because that's exactly what I was going to say. Thank you, James. Love you, brother. That was good.
All right, well, way to demolish what James just said then. All right. Filthy Rich, you have any final comments to these 2?
Well, I mean, Joshua is going to have a trainer. He's not going into a fight without a trainer. But, like, I mean, I mentioned earlier at the start of this segment, there's 3 guys at the top. And I think hopefully you guys agree with me that there are 3 and then there's the rest. I just happen to have Joshua second best, and that's based on the resume. He has a better resume than the other 2 guys.
Well, he may get a trainer, but is he going to listen to the trainer? Because he doesn't seem to listen to anybody during the fights because he can't change. He can't listen. He needs a guy that can get in his head. He doesn't change.
I got a feeling he's going to go to the Mayweather camp soon.
I don't know, man.
Right, well, might be breaking news. What trainer would you choose for him, Filthy Rich, if you could choose his trainer for him?
I don't know, like maybe
Reynoso?
I don't know, Derek James or something.
How about you, James? Reynoso?
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably a pretty good question. James is the guy who's training Triple G, right? Rich?
No, I don't know. Derek James is Spence and the Charlo's trainer.
Oh,
yep.
I thought James was the Triple G trainer. I don't know. Either way,
no, that was Klitschko's trainer, but
I don't remember. I didn't care for him. He wears sunglasses all the time, and it was very annoying. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, probably just Eddie Reynoso. That'd be my guess. Yeah, why not? Let's go with that.
Eddie Reynoso. You sticking with Mayweather there, Seabach? Is that what you're sticking with?
No, I like that, and I also like Richie's Derek James. The educated jab. I'll drink with you, brother.
I don't know. Mayweather, you might be able to learn some defense. Maybe you can. Maybe it's someone he'd listen to. You never know. Is what it is. All right. Well, that's our 5 through 3. Now we're going to hit our honorable mentions here. As I said, we each give our 10. So there's usually going to be more than 10. There was 14 today. 14. Rich, you only gave 1 that was unranked from the rest of us. Seabach, you did 2 that were unranked from the rest of us. I did 1 that was unranked from the rest of us, and James, you did 1 that was unranked. So, Here's where they came. Here's where they broke down, and then we'll comment on where you want. Number 6 was Andy Ruiz Jr. at 17 points, 3 points behind Wilder. I had him at 5. James had him at 7. Richie had him at 9. Bach had him at 6. At 7 was Joe Joyce with 15 points. I had him at 8. James had him at 8. Richie had him at 6. Bach had him at 7. At 8 was Luis Ortiz, King Kong, 13 points. I had him at 9. James had him all the way up at 4. Richie had him at 7. Bach had him unranked. In 9th place was Joseph Parker at 13 because no one had him ranked as high as 4. I had him at 7. James had him at 9. Richie had him at 10. Bach had him at 5. Pointing that up. Number 10 with 3 points was Daniel Dubois. Nobody had him ranked except Richie at 8. Jared Anderson came in at 11. Nobody had him ranked except Bach at 9. Michael Hunter came in at 12, tied with Frank Sanchez and Otto Wallin. I had Michael Hunter at 10. Nobody else had him ranked. James had Frank Sanchez at 10. Nobody else had him ranked. And Bach had Otto Wallin at 10, and nobody had him ranked. So before we break into that, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to ask you, you said that Deontay Wilder wouldn't beat anyone higher up on your list. You have Ortiz higher up on your list, so that's the one I was going to ask you about.
Yes, and I stand by my statement. I understand Ortiz has lost twice, and he has lost twice to Wilder, all right? And I don't care what you want to laugh at that. That's all fine and dandy, all right? That was when Deontay Wilder was undefeated. That was before the Fury thing. He is not the same person. I believe that Ortiz is still as dangerous as any heavyweight in this division, even being, well, whatever. I mean,
I said, and that was when Ortiz was 65 years old, too. Now
we don't know because he's Cuban, so he could be 22 for all I know, man. I mean, I don't know.
He's definitely not 22.
Hey, I don't know, man. Rigondeaux is like 58, and he looks like he's 12, so... but either way, man, yeah, I have Ortiz up there because I believe that he is still dangerous. I just watched his last fight against Charles. Oh, lost his last name. Charles Martin. And Martin was supposed to be touted as being real good, and he rocked that dude to almost a stand-up knockdown, just like that women's boxing match, Baumgartner, that popped whatever her name was. I can't remember her name, but yeah, man, I stand by it. Ortiz.
So after 6 years of aging, Ortiz is going to be Wilder.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was asking. Filthy Rich, which one of those ones you want to jump in on?
I'm going to make this as quick as I can because I got a few things to say here. As far as like Ortiz goes, Luis Ortiz was beating Wilder in all those fights. Ortiz was up 7 rounds to 0 on my scorecard. He just got knocked out. So in a fight, and I said that he can knock you out at any time, but he doesn't win very many rounds. Ortiz, I don't know. I'm not going to go there, but I go by the resume, and that's why I had Wilder ahead of Ortiz. I want to touch on Dubois. Dubois had a broken eye socket. I don't want to rule him out yet, but it's hard to put him above Joe Joyce, so that's where I had him. As far as Ruiz being at number 9, let's see how he looks with Eddie Reynoso, and then he'll be climbing up the charts, but I got to see that first.
You had him at 9. That's right. Andrew Ruiz came in at 6. You had him at 9. That's right.
I had him at 9.
That's right. Bach, you did not have Luis Ortiz King Tong ranked. Is it because he's 105 years old? And anyone else that you want to touch on there? Because you had Joseph Parker at 5, and neither of us had that anywhere close to that. So.
Joseph Parker, everyone forgets he's 29 years old.
Oh, I didn't forget. I got tortured on this show when I said I.
And everyone forget he's got a new trainer. He is boxing well. He's going to start coming up in the ranks again. That's why I threw him up, and he beat Chisora convincingly. The one I want to. Well, how long do we got? I mean, honestly, like
not long, bro. Come on,
20 seconds.
Okay, the guy that I got down at 9, and Jared Big Baby, he's got all the tools to beat everyone in this whole division.
Real Big Baby.
Yeah, Ashley even from the bedroom goes, Big Baby. Yeah, Jared Anderson. You watch out. All right, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
He's got it. Hey, he's got every punch. He's educated. He's young. He's smart. He works the body. He's a body puncher at heavyweight. He's so educated, and he's a big boy. He's going to be great. And guess what? You can sell any one of his fights because he will have a costume for every ring walk.
I'm just going to bring up Joseph Parker real fast. The fact that you guys all yelled at me last time I had Joseph Parker up really high. And
Richie, yeah.
And now that Bach has him hide, you guys don't want to say anything about it. But just pointing that little bit out that hey, you know,
We don't want to say anything. It's ain't a show about interruptions. It's all about taking your turn. All right. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that I had Joseph Parker higher than anyone on their list at number 2 at one point. All right. At number 2, I will own up to that. That was a mistake. We can talk about that later. But yes, I made a mistake, and I think that's a mistake to have him that high now.
Me too. A drink to you, James.
Any final things about Andy Ruiz? Is he going to stay right around that 6 mark, do you think, for a while, or is there a way he can get back into the top 5 here? He's pretty close to getting into that top 5 with the.
We'll see. We'll see with the trainer change. He's with Reynoso now. We'll see. Give me a big fight. Jared Anderson has no big fights. He has the tools. Yes, I get it. Give me a big fight. Throw him in there with a big name. Throw him in with your number 10 guy or something and see what happens. But I don't have him ranked now, and maybe next year around this time, maybe I will put Jared Anderson, but not right now. It's too early.
The good big baby, not the bad big baby. There's 2 big baby Andersons. So one of them likes the pills.
Well, one of them's the real big baby.
The first one likes to make big babies, is what it is. All right. Let's move on to our top 2 here. It's no shock of what the top 2 is, but maybe a shock on the order because we do have disagreements on the order. Let's just put it that way. We do not have unanimous number 1.
Wow.
So at number 2, with 36 points, is Tyson Fury, the lineal champion. I had him at 1. James had him at 2. Richie had him at 3. Bach had him at 2. We'll start with Richie at 3. What?
He doesn't beat Joshua. He doesn't have the resume to beat Joshua, and that's kind of it. I think I have a number 1 guy, and then number 2 and 3 were a toss-up. And Joshua has the way better resume. He's fought top 10 guys almost his entire career. Tyson Fury, it's tough with Top Rank to get a big fight. He got Deontay Wilder 3 times. Outside of that, nothing. Valine almost beat him. Valine, unranked heavyweight, almost beat
Klitschko?
Yeah, I'll give you a 39-year-old Klitschko, the way we talked about Povetkin being 40 years old. But yeah, he beat a 39-year-old Klitschko. He beat him on the most boring fight of the world. Anthony Joshua knocked Klitschko out 6 months later.
Yeah, well, Luis Ortiz had Wilder beat up there, and at 105 years old that Ortiz is. Just point that out. You know, age doesn't mean anything in the heavyweight division. I don't think. What do you think, James and Bach? You both agreed at 2. I'll discuss why I think he's 1 in a minute. But Bach, we'll start with you. What do you think 2?
No, I'm going first.
Fine, I guess James is gonna go first.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not.
Whoa! Intercepted. Stonehands Anderson with the interception.
Yeah,
finally.
that's right. I intercepted this, and the reason I'm intercepting
his
this,
helmet.
the reason I'm intercepting this is because
Green.
first of all, it's Deion Sanders, and I'm gonna tell you right now, Raider.
Darryl Green, watching Redskins, the best cornerback of all time. Come on.
All right, stop. Go.
You mute him?
James.
I don't have mute power.
Now he's mute. All right, so
Okay,
that's not what we're
there
talking
we
about.
go.
Anyway, so the reason I said I was intercepting this to go first was because I had a real tough time with going 1 and 2. And I had Fury at 1 for a very long time. And I honestly, granted, Usyk is the better boxer technically, but that size difference is huge for me.
Mhm.
That is a big size difference. And Fury has shown that he can get knocked down all the time. And he does get knocked down all the time. But you know what? He gets back up almost every single time. Well,
Like the Undertaker.
Every time. So I don't know, man. It's interesting, but I mean, still, I went and put him at 2. But it was a very tough decision for me personally. So that's why I wanted to give you that you're not alone in that thing.
I appreciate it, buddy.
But yeah, I still have him at number 2 just because I think Usyk probably gonna do the same thing that we do to Joshua.
Well, I was stuck between the 2 as well because we all banged Usyk for a long time, knocked him, said he's too small for the heavyweight division. I don't know why he's going up here for a long time.
I never did.
We're not asking you. Anyway, we talked about it on this show before you were here a lot that Usyk was too small to move up to heavyweight and stuff like that. And he proved it. He beat Joshua great. I just don't see how he could beat Fury. Fury's still the champion. You can't give him the disrespect that he's not the champion. He's the champ. He's undefeated. He's the champ. And the thing with Fury too, he is great at strategy. He figures out exactly what he needs to do for a fight, and he does it. And I just think he's going to be way too big for Usyk, or if he needs to, he'll get smaller and faster for Usyk. He just knows exactly what he needs to do for each fighter. Same thing he did with Wilder. He knows exactly how to beat Wilder, and he's done it every time. So I still had Fury at 1 because of that. It'd be a close fight. It's a great fight. I wish we get to see it, but we're probably not going to get to see it. But Bach, I'll let you explain now why you had him at 2.
Fury?
Yes, that's who we're talking about. Fury at 2. Yes.
Yeah, he's great. And
okay, good job.
You confused me with some of the words that came out your mouth. I mean, it's really easy to figure out Deontay Wilder. Everyone in boxing figured him out. He has one punch. It's super easy to figure him out. He don't even have a jab. It's super easy. Fury is great. He's fought. I like Fury. He moves well for a big man. He's just outsizing everyone else. But when you get in with an educated boxer, games change. The whole dynamic is switched. It's like you just flip the game over. It's like, nope, it's over. Fury is great. Honest to God. Come on. No, I'm going to go on a rant. I'm done.
All right.
Okay. All right. Moving on to our number 1, which is no shock, obviously, because we've already been talking about it, is Usyk at number 1. Came in at 39 points. I had him at 2. The rest of you guys had him at 1. It sounds like James had him at a 1 and 1A situation. Thank you for that, at least, James. I had him at 2 just because of the what I talked about. I just think Fury is going to be too big for him. I think Fury's a lot better than Usyk is at this time, and it's just going to be too big for him, and it's going to be hard to handle. That's just where I'm at, and he's still the champ. He's undefeated champ. Until you beat the undefeated champ, you deserve to stay there, is what I think. But I'm curious to think what you guys think, putting Usyk in front. You got your thumbs down, so I'm going to go to you last. Filthy Rich, we'll start with you.
The dude beat my number 1 guy, Anthony Joshua, the reigning king, for the last couple years. He beat Joshua, I guess, convincingly. And if a rematch does happen, I just think he's got the skill set to beat Joshua again. So I had him number 1. Obviously, I have Joshua 2, Tyson Fury 3, because Fury hasn't beaten anyone, and I think Usyk, he cleaned out cruiserweight. He is on the path to clean out heavyweight.
I think it's unfair you keep saying he hasn't beat anybody, because Deontay Wilder is your 4, and you just talked about how good Deontay Wilder was before, and you said he beat most of these guys in this division, and he beat them 3 times. What do you want for the guy?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. You had Deontay Wilder at 4, and you just talked about how Deontay Wilder beats everybody on your list below.
He does. He does.
So that apparently is no good for Tyson Fury's resume?
He beat one guy 3 times. Sugar Ray Robinson
beats everybody else in the division.
Hey, Ray, let him talk.
Sugar Ray Robinson beat Jake LaMotta 5 times out of 6. Sandy Sadler beat Willie Pep 4 out of 5 times. When you own a guy, you own him. Sarung Vasai beat Chocolatito twice. I don't think Chocolatito wants any more of that either. Tyson Fury owns Deontay Wilder. At that point, Deontay Wilder he's not the gatekeeper, but he is the best of the rest. Tyson Fury hasn't beaten anyone else. Who has he beaten?
I'm just saying it's not fair to say.
He didn't beat anyone.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We're passing it on.
I passed it on to you.
All right. So Usyk number 1. Yeah, he's definitely the best skilled heavyweight that I think we have out here for sure. The only thing that he may lack is power, but you don't necessarily need power you don't need to knock somebody out to win. You brought up Dubois before with Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce and Dubois. I watched that fight. That was a boring fight. And you know what? Joe Joyce had 1 punch, and it was a jab, and it was a straight, and it just kept going to the same right eye of Dubois over and over and over until it broke. And guess what? Joe Joyce won. And I've also watched Joe Joyce fight Usyk in the amateur ranks. So Usyk was schooling Joe Joyce at that point too. So Usyk has been fighting this way for a while. He's also undefeated. He is 19-0. He is a champion as well. And he holds all the belts that Tyson Fury doesn't have. So you want to talk about the champion. Usyk has the ability to beat anybody in this division. The only reason why this is this big is because Tyson Fury's size is such an advantage. 6'9" and 270 pounds is just that, and you can't match that unless you are that. So that's his biggest advantage. Any game plans well, but I still think Usyk is number one in this division until he fights Fury and we find out for real.
All right, Seaback, you get the final word.
I get the final word. Okay, so we saw Otto Wallin take Tyson Fury to task, as Richie alluded to earlier. He took him to task, and that was a tough fight for Tyson Fury. Guess what? Usyk is 800 levels better than Otto Wallin. You're going to see I don't want to use bad words.
Brilliant!
Did I say that?
No, okay.
Oh, all right.
You say it and then ask if you could say it.
That's not how permission works, but just go ahead.
All right. Well, I did all right. But Usyk, I mean, he's so schooled. He's so smart. His foot movement is like Lomachenko-esque. They train together, for Christ's sake. You know, like he has angles and he throws punches that these guys don't see, and especially these taller guys. You know, I think it's almost an advantage for Usyk to be smaller and shorter than these taller opponents because he has angles that come. He can throw uppercuts. He can throw weird. It's not even like a jab. It's like a cross/jab, and he can work the body. And these are punches that these guys do not see coming. Honestly, Usyk is the best thing since sliced bread up at that weight division. Honestly, and it's a breath of fresh air. It really is, and I love it.
All right, I'm going to take the final word. The fact that Usyk is awesome, but let's face it, this is his first. He had one big fight. He did it. He beat Joshua. Before that, you want to talk resumes? He didn't do much in the heavyweight division because he hasn't been there. He beat Chisora and he beat who else did he beat? You want to talk resumes? He had a very impressive. He had a very impressive victory, and he's the new talk of the town right now. But Fury's been there.
He's always been the talk of the town.
Hi.
He's always been the talk.
I don't have mute powers anymore. Anyway, he was when he was a smaller one, when he was a cruiserweight and a light heavyweight, but not as a heavyweight. But anyway, hey, thanks for the mute power. Appreciate that. All right. That's our list this week this month, the heavyweight division of 2022. Number 1, Usyk. 2, Fury. 3, Joshua. 4, Dillian White. 5, Deontay Wilder. 6, Andrew Ruiz Jr. 7, Joe Joyce. 8, Luis Ruiz. 9, Joseph Parker. 10, Daniel Dubois. 11, Jared Anderson. And a 12, 13, 14 tie. Michael Hunter, Frank Sanchez, and Otto Wallin are the tie. That's our list. How'd we do? I'll put it down in the comments below. Tell Seabach why he's wrong. It's always fun. That's what we love to do. So go ahead and tell him in the comments. We'll reference that beard in the comments of why he's wrong. And that's our list. So good job, boys. Fun time as always. And let's go ahead and move on with the show. All right, brews and previews this week, gentlemen. We got a lot of fights this weekend, so we're going to do it a little differently instead of just breaking down all the fights because it's a long show this week. I'm just going to go through them real fast. You're going to just pick your winner and I'll give you 10, 15 seconds of why or whatever you want to do. I'm just going to go over them right down the line here. We're going to start with Mario Barrios versus Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman comes in a minus 193 favorite. Mario Barrios, so 1.5 underdog plus 158. So you get time and a half like blackjack odds. What do you guys think? We'll start with you, Filthy Rich. Barrios, Thurman.
Taking Keith Thurman because boxing is a disgusting, corrupt sport, and they're just going to give it to him by decision.
Thurman by decision. All right, James, what do you think?
Oof, I don't know. Barrios is not VADA tested. He's out of the VADA. Coming up in weight. Thurman's been too inactive. I'm going to give it to I'm going to go Barrios with a split decision.
Barrios on the steroids with the split decision plus 158. How about you, Seaback?
Thurman coming back. I'm excited. And if he doesn't win convincingly, better than how Gervonta Davis did it, then he's done. But I'm still going to take Thurman round 8 KO.
All right, Thurman. Sounds like German. Thurman. I'm going to take Barrios. I'm with James here. We're going to ride that underdog trade plus 158. Barrios, give me the steroids over the old Thurman. Let's go with that. All right, second one. Leo Santa Cruz is also going to be fighting on the same card, actually, at Mandalay Bay against Keenan Carbayal. How you say it, James?
Carbayal.
All right, Carbayal. Keenan Carbayal Keenan Carvalho comes in at an 8-1 underdog against Leo Santa Cruz. Leo Santa Cruz famously going to sleep last time I think I saw him fight. So we'll start with you, Seabach, this time. What do you think on Santa Cruz versus Carabao?
It will be an entertaining slugfest, but I still think Santa Cruz throws 8,000 punches in a round, and he wins by decision.
Santa Cruz by decision. James, goes to you.
I think that he is going to beat Caballero by a knockout.
Okay, by knockout. And then Filthy Rich.
I'll go with I'll echo Matt. Bunch of punches. Santa Cruz by decision.
I'm gonna go with the Santa Cruz Hurricane as well. It's a clean sweep for Santa Cruz at minus 1350. Can't bet it, but I think he's gonna win by knockout by his 9,000th punch. I think in round 9 he's gonna throw. So I think that's basically where we're gonna go. All right, another good fight here. Starts a little earlier in the day, so you guys know because it's in Europe. Here, so this is at a 5 p.m. fight. This is Liam Williams versus Chris Eubank Jr. Williams comes in at plus 275. Eubank Jr. minus 350 in Wales. What do you think, James? You get to go first this time.
Oh man, Williams is definitely an iron jaw, but I just think it's Eubank. Williams doesn't have enough. What do you call it? Enough skill. Eubank's probably going to beat him. What do I call? I gotta make a thing. Unanimous decision.
Unanimous decision for Liam Williams, or for Eubank. You said
correct.
Eubank. Seabach, what do you think?
I'm calling upset Williams by decision.
Williams in an upset with the iron jaw. They both have something in common. Seabach is known for his iron jaw, and so is Liam Williams. Let's go to Filthy Rich.
Yeah, I'll take Eubank by decision. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna have to lean with the normal two panelists and take Eubank as well in this one. I think Eubank's gonna win by decision. I don't think there's no knocking Liam Williams out. I just don't think he has enough to get in the judge's mind on that one. All right, and then we got Julius Indongo versus Chris Jenkins in a welterweight belt, still in Wales. That's on the undercard of that fight. Indongo comes in at plus 200. Jenkins at minus 225. Filthy Rich.
Not crazy about either one of these guys, but I'll take Indongo's the bigger name. I'll take Indongo by unanimous decision, I guess.
Interesting. Indongo is the bigger name and coming in at a 2-1 underdog. James, what do you think?
He's coming in as an underdog?
That's
weird.
He's
a 2-1 underdog, plus 200 against Chris Jenkins. Yeah.
Against Chris Jenkins?
Yeah, minus 225 for Chris Jenkins.
What? I'm gonna go with Indongo by knockout. And yeah. That's it.
All right. There's
anything else. I'm sorry.
Well, the bookies think that they set the over-under on this at 6.5. So I mean 6.5 rounds of a 12-round fight. So they're expecting a knockout in this fight too. It's going to be a slugfest. What do you think, Bach, in the slugfest of Indongo?
Well, I know Indongo, but you know what? Just to go against the paper here, I'm going to go with Jenkins.
For no reason at all, just to go against those guys?
Unanimous.
so it's not unanimous.
What fun is it if I go the same way?
Well, there's no fun at all, I guess.
There's no social. We usually have a social.
Yeah, we can't have a social drink. Because I'm going to go with Indongo too. I think Indongo's going to knock him out at 2-1 odds. You give me that all day. I'll take that. I'll parlay it with Barrios at plus 158. Have myself a nice little payday. And then the last one.
Wait, how many rounds was it again?
It's a 12-round fight, over under 6.5. It ain't going 12. It's not going 12.
Jenkins knockout 10.
Yeah, we'll see if Rock and Rolo do anything with his nickname. Terrible nickname. Let's go.
And then our last one, we want to end on women's boxing because we are not a crooked old promoter from ESPN. Emma? I think it's Emma. Emma Kozine versus Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields making a return to boxing after her MMA performance here. She comes in at a minus 5,449 favorite, which means you have to lay $5,449 to win 100. And Emma comes in at a 16.5 to 1 underdog in this fight. Judge, we'll start with you. What do you think?
It's tough to bet against Clarissa Shields, right? Definitely tough to bet against her. Emma Kozine is undefeated as well and is southpaw. I think that's going to be her biggest advantage, but I still think Clarissa Shields is going to win, but I think it's going to be a split decision.
It's tough to bet on. You don't have an extra 5,449 laying around to win $100.
Nah, I don't.
I know one guy does. Filthy Rich up there does. He's got all money. He sleeps on that. That's what he wipes his butt with after he's had too many of them eggnogs is with $5,000. What do you think, Filthy Rich?
Look, I do have to mention this all goes knowing that guys make weight. Someone misses weight, all bets are off as usual. I think this situation here, if Clarissa Shields doesn't make weight, she's still gonna win. So I'm taking Clarissa Shields knockout in like what 3? I'll do 3, man.
Taking the knockout. It's a 10-round fight. Women should be able to go 12. I don't know why they can't, but
don't forget 2-minute rounds for women's spot.
Yeah,
2-minute rounds.
They need to change that. They need to change that.
I agree.
Bach, what do you think? Emma Kozine versus Clarissa Shields. You're gonna take the unanimous, or you're gonna go with the 16-1 underdog? So it's just
I'm gonna go with obviously the greatest women's boxer of all time in round
Layla Ali.
5.
Yeah, Layla Ali's not fighting. What are you talking about?
No, dude, Clarissa would have scrapped her, but
wow.
Clarissa's Michigan, baby. Oh, she could work her. All right, that's a different story. Round 5, knockout Clarissa Shields, especially Clarissa coming out of her MMA world. She wants to prove something.
All right, it's a clean sweep. Obviously, I got Clarissa Shields as well, but I'm going to take actually a decision because them 2-minute rounds are stupid, and they're probably going to go to the end because it's 2-minute rounds. And it seems like every time they start to get going, the round's over already.
Mm-hmm.
That bothers me. I think that's why another reason why women's boxing doesn't pick up as much is because once they start getting it going, then the bell rings. It's like, let's go. Let's have let's have the rules the same. They don't change the number of points in women's basketball. They still have a 3-point line. Let's have it the same way. It makes
they better make it the same way.
They should make it the same way. That's the way I feel about it. But those are our picks this week. Couple underdog picks for you gamblers out there, and Dongo and Barrios are ones that we kind of like here. So especially Judge, me and Judge have been on a underdog. Was a 3-game streak, I think, with underdogs right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I got any today, but yeah, usually.
Yeah. So I mean, we've won like 3 in a row. So that's our previews this week. So make sure you're not doing anything Saturday because it's a long day of awesome boxing. Remember, the early ones are in Europe, so they start at 3:00, and then the ones in Vegas start at 9 and 10 o'clock around here. So depending on where you are, check your local listings. All right, let's move on with the end of the show. All right, that's our first of the month show, our Filthy 5 show of heavyweights and some news and some previews. It's a good show. We welcome Matt from Lindstrom back to the fold here for a second show in a row. Well done, as always. Filthy Rich, why don't you bring us on home?
I want to say like a hello or a shout out to Junior Loves Boxing at Junior Loves Boxing. Liked our last show. I think he's a new subscriber and follows us on Twitter. Shout out to you. I also want to mention months ago, one Rob Band, I brought him on and he was retweeted by the Grateful Dead. Shout out to you. Rob's not dead. Check that stuff out. The Grateful Dead retweeted this guy. Talented kid. That's all I got. I'll drink to that, but I'm out of beer.
Wait a minute. The Grateful Dead has a Twitter? That's amazing. My dad came. All right, Judge, if they're watching us, where can they listen to us? And if they're listening to us, where can they watch us?
Well, if you're watching this and you want to listen to us, you can go to any major podcast site and type in Bruising Boxing. If you are watching, if you're listening to us and you didn't watch us, go ahead and go to YouTube /Bruising Boxing and go ahead and check us out. It'll be fun times.
All right. As you can tell by the picture behind me, Matt from Lindstrom does definitely look better without the beard. So make sure you put that in the comment below to tell him to get rid of the beard. And congratulations to Matt from Lindstrom he's going to be a daddy here. Just broke the news to all of us here. Now you just broke it to the internet. Well done. And do you have a inspirational quote or anything that we can have a moment of zen by on the way out there, Mr. Bach?
Just remember, I'm glad to be back. It's been a long time. Just remember, I'm too legit to quit, Richie.
Oh, that must be Nietzsche or Plato, or is that Nietzsche or Plato? I guess. All right. Domino. All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. I am Raider Live for Matt from Lindstrom, Filthy Rich, and Judge Jimmy James. We will catch you guys next week.